Is the LEGO Technic 4x4 Mercedes-Benz Zetros Trial Truck the single greatest set of all time? Let's find out. When LEGO Technic introduces a brand new function, it is a historic event. Differentials have been around pretty much since the beginning. One of the first sets that comes to mind is the 1980 car chassis version 2. Then in 1994, LEGO introduced differentials that could be locked with driving rings. However, this function had not been implemented into any official LEGO set up until now with the Mercedes-Benz Zetros Trial Truck in 2021. In this review, we will be going over the off-road performance, the functionality, a race between the two sets, as well as the pros and cons of the Mercedes-Benz Zetros Trial Truck. Words cannot express just how much I love this set. It perfectly combines the complex mechanisms that Technic is known for with practical playability. I've had the most fun with the LEGO Technic Zetros, and it's because it has a lot of incredibly revolutionary features. First of all, let's demonstrate the differential locking. Right now, the differentials are unlocked, and the Zetros got stuck pretty easily. All I have to do is lock both the central and rear differentials, and boom, it can go on its merry way. Of course, I would have preferred it if the front one could be locked as well, since then, the set would have been the ideal off-roader. But the function alone is incredibly revolutionary that we are getting for the very first time in a LEGO Technic set. The single biggest problem for off-roading with the 6x6 valve articulated hauler wasn't necessarily its lack of suspension, but its inclusion of a central differential, which made it incredibly easy to get stuck. With the Zetros, the central differential is only beneficial. As soon as it becomes a problem, all you have to do is simply lock it, and that will essentially turn it into a solid axle. The LEGO Technic motto is authenticity, functionality, and challenging building. So far, it seems like the set earns a perfect score for each of these categories. When it comes to the off-road performance, this set is almost flawless. You can go over some rocky rivers, steep inclines, and so much more. You could make the argument that the set is slow, and while that's true, speed comes at the cost of torque. I love the idea of taking my sets outdoors and really pushing the off-road capabilities to their absolute limits. In fact, this set can climb any ramp as long as the wheels maintain their traction and don't slip, or if the Zetros doesn't start falling. The off-road capabilities of the set, out of the box, unmodified, are greater than any other Technic set. The 4x4 Extreme Off-Roader would stall at the most insignificant inclines, and even the Power Functions crawlers had much weaker torque than the Zetros. One of the reasons why the set performs so well outdoors is actually because it has live axle suspension on both the front and the back, which is a type of suspension we haven't seen since the special edition crawler of 2013. The gear on the left is responsible for locking the rear differential, while the gear on the right is directly connected to the differential. Specifically, in LEGO Technic sets, live axle suspension is much more difficult to make than traditional, fully independent suspension. If you're enjoying this video so far, then make sure to subscribe so that way you can uncover all the secrets of LEGO Technic. My review of the heavy-duty tow truck will come out the day after tomorrow. The LEGO Technic Zetros, specifically the front section, looks absolutely gorgeous. It captures its real-life counterpart absolutely perfectly. Of course, the set does come with openable doors on either side, and the interior is quite nice. Unfortunately, the steering wheel is not connected in any way to the steering itself, but that's one of the problems with live axle suspension, and that would be way too complicated to make. Although I forgive the lack of a functional steering wheel, I simply don't understand why the center of the steering wheel had to be a sticker, especially at that $300 price point. I greatly appreciate the windshield wipers though, which can be positioned a little bit, each one independently. I think it would have been cool if these windshield wipers were motorized, but honestly, that's an unnecessary function. The front hood can be opened up, revealing the fake engine on the inside. Unfortunately, it's completely brick-built, so there are no moving pistons. The engine fan is also disconnected from the drivetrain, so it's only there for decoration. The front hood is not securely connected, so it does have a tendency to open up slightly whenever the set is going downhill, and sometimes it can even open fully. I will definitely be modifying the Zetros to fix this issue. You can open up the lid at the back in order to see the differential locking mechanism. All you need to do is simply take off this frame. Now we can completely open up the lid, and the differential locking mechanism is absolutely fascinating. You get a plethora of gears, 2 Bugatti Chiron transmission pieces, and so much more. I will definitely attempt to build some sort of a B model with the Zetros that uses a speed transmission gearbox. Since the differential locking is controlled by a medium motor without a rotation sensor, you absolutely need to have these linear clutches, and they do slip a little every time you unlock differentials. Unfortunately, the back is not finished up with panels, so I cannot transport any small rocks or sand. I can really only transport large objects, which is a shame since I wanted to put some sand or other smaller objects in the back. There is definitely room for modifications here. I do wish that the ground clearance of the set was just a little higher, since sometimes the Zetros can get stuck on the drive axle itself. An easy way to fix this is to just add the tires from the LEGO Technic Mercedes-Benz Unimog U400, and then you have more ground clearance, and the wheels don't interfere with the suspension, and it still works flawlessly. These tires also look a little bit more similar to the ones used in the real-life Mercedes-Benz Zetros. The app itself is designed quite well. You get the basic steering and throttle controls. I do wish that you could flip them and have the steering be on the right while the throttle is on the left, since in power function sets, the steering was always on the right. I'm also more accustomed to Mode 2 on RC controllers, so it would be nice if the throttle here were on the left. You also get the switch for the differential locking, and they always lock and unlock together. You cannot control them independently. You also get the horn here, but the sound comes from the smart device instead of the hub itself, so as a result, I never use the horn. My favorite aspect of the app is the augmented reality feature. With this, you can closely inspect how the drivetrain works, how the differential locking works, and how the Ackerman steering works. You can view the Zetros from any angle, and it's such an awesome thing being able to see the mechanisms of your Technic set without having to disassemble anything. $300 is a lot of money, but a lot of that cost comes from developing the incredible Control Plus app. Despite its flaws, I still think that the LEGO Technic Mercedes-Benz Zetros Trial Truck is the single greatest LEGO Technic set of all time since the 8043 motorized excavator, and the set is much better than the 6x6 valve articulated hauler. But what happens when you race two of the Zetros sets together? Let's find out. Hey Nikolai.
Hey, I'm Brickme. What are we doing here?
I have no idea, but have you seen the laptop?
Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Hello, LEGO engineers. I am BuilderDude35, a robotics YouTuber and MIT engineering student. I challenge teams like you all across the world to prove their engineering skill through challenges. Today, I challenge the two of you to go head-to-head in a race.
No!
Come on.
Prove which one of you is worthy. May the best driver win.
Whoa!
Your mission, win the race and be the first to cross the finish line.
Look at that! It's so dangerous!
Oh my goodness, look at the track.
LEGO Technic or system, who will win?
Living darkness, pitch black storming. Feel heartless, my mind's darkest. My purpose is to get my target until I check off everybody on my list. But somehow this is like a circus. I'm glad all of y'all done at my service. Please get ready for some disturbance, but this is what you get for your purchase. If I am an ancient of the darkness, now there's nobody else, just us. Do or die, there's real toughness. Feel the wrath of an outlaw, locked up as a chaos.
Are you kidding me? Uh-oh! You're taking the lead! You're taking the lead! I'm gonna beat you!
Oh my goodness.
Uh-oh! It's stuck!
Oh, you're gonna push me off. No,
Uh-oh! The duck fell off!
I'm fighting here for my, to stay on the ramp.
This is kind of hard because of the bad thing.
Yep.
Oh, I made it onto the ramp! I made it on!
Oh, and I'm going for the tunnel.
That was the challenging part.
Uh-huh. I'm on my way through the tunnel.
Uh-oh! Looks like
The final part here.
I need to catch up.
But I need to get over to the front wheel. Let's see, can the power do it? Oh!
Yes! I got through the tunnel! I got through
We need one more wheel.
Wait! Let's see, come on, come on! Come on!
No!
Come on!
No! No!
Yes! close, but I won. I'm the winner. I won.
Congrats, Ivan.
Thank you. But since you participated and you've been such a good sport, here you go.
Oh, thanks so much. I guess we're winners, all winners after all.
By no means is this set perfect, and I think you should try 3 different modifications to this set. At first, you should try on the tires from the Mercedes-Benz Unimog U400 on the Mercedes-Benz Zetros Trial Truck. I think that way you have more ground clearance and the set looks, different in my opinion. I'm not going to say it looks better because both tires do look amazing in my opinion, but you do get more of that ground clearance with the tires from the Unimog U400. And also because the suspension on the front is not exactly symmetrical, you do have that one rod on the right side of the Zetros. I think that you should definitely try to add another rod on the left side of the Zetros as well, simply because I like symmetry and I'm just not sure why it's only on one side. And finally, the third modification you should try was actually made by Brick Garage RM8, and basically it strengthens the connection between the drivetrain and the differential. So basically you just take the following axle, add some gears there, and basically now your rear differential is driven by 2 12-tooth gears instead of just one, so that definitely adds more stability and prevents the potential issue of the gear at the back cracking. Now me personally, I never had that issue. It works perfectly well at the rear differential. I put it to the test on some really steep inclines and through very rough rocky terrain, and it never cracked at the back, so it's just an issue that if you do have, you can fix it using the modification. So let's answer the question, is this set really worth $300? Well, you can look at sets like the Ferrari, for example, and you can clearly tell that they're overpriced simply because they don't have enough pieces for their price to meet that 10 cent per piece price point. And you can also look at this set in that same manner, but you also have to consider that it contains 3 large Control Plus motors, 1 medium Control Plus motor, that main hub that costs $90 on its own. It also has brand new tires, those planetary wheel hubs, and for the very first time in a LEGO Technic set, differential locking, and not just any differential locking, remotely controlled differential locking. So all of those functions and features definitely add more to the price tag, and the app itself also does have the amazing augmented reality feature. You can look at exactly how the drivetrain works and how the steering works and how the differential locking works. It definitely contains also a lot of gears. It contains lots of complex mechanisms. I greatly appreciate this set a lot. Now, me personally, I don't think it's overpriced. There are way more sets in LEGO Technic that have a far worse sort of price to functions ratio, whereas this set really delivers in all categories. I think this set for me personally is better than the 6x6 valve articulated hauler. In that set you had a 3-speed transmission. Of course, it's really fun to watch and see how it changes speed at the cost of torque, but with this set you get a differential locking, a way more practical feature for off-roading, and because I play with my LEGO Technic sets outdoors, I personally prefer the Mercedes-Benz Zetros Trial Truck. So what about the pros and cons of the LEGO Technic Mercedes-Benz Zetros Trial Truck? Well, for the pros, it's got amazing off-road capabilities. For the first time ever, we are getting a dual motor drive that is hard coupled. That is very cool. And also you do get the differential locking feature on this car. Very amazing function for the very first time in LEGO Technic. I greatly appreciated you lock both the central and the rear differential. The set also looks phenomenal from the front. I greatly appreciate the way the set looks. It just nails everything, and it does have that rubber duck at the front, which is really cool. The suspension in the set is also phenomenal. It does have live axle suspension. But what about the cons of the set? Well, for the first one, it does have a bad turning radius. What you've heard about the set is true. It does take a lot of room just to make a U-turn in the set, but at the same time you can also reverse and go the other direction and then go forward and turn right, go back and turn left, and sort of repeat that, and now you can sort of turn in really any space. Another con of the set is that the back here is kind of unfinished. You cannot transport sort of small rocks or sand. You have to transport only big objects in the set, like fruits, apples, for example. I do wish that it was sort of all sealed up back here. That way I could put some sand in here, take my big white excavator, drop some sand here, then transport it somewhere else. I just love sort of combining 2 or more Control Plus sets and really make them work together. And finally, for the cons, the set can be considered overpriced. Now, I'm not saying that it is overpriced. I think it's right on that line between overpriced and normal priced, but it's not like the Ferrari by any means. It does have those planetary wheel hubs, which give you an approximate gear ratio of 1 to about 5.5, and this set has a lot of functionalities that can be redeemed with its $300 price tag. It does not necessarily mean that this set is ideally priced. Ideally, it would have been $250. That would have been a phenomenal deal in my opinion. But $300 is really not that bad in comparison to other Technic sets. I will be releasing my review of the LEGO Technic Heavy Duty Tow Truck the day after tomorrow, so make sure to subscribe so that way you don't miss out on that review. And I will also be doing plenty of modifications and comparisons to the set. This one versus the 42099 4x4 Extreme Off-Roader, the Zetros versus the 6x6 valve articulated hauler. I have so much fun stuff planned for both of these sets. It's gonna be amazing, so make sure to subscribe. This is your Unbrick Me here, and I'll see you in the next one.